Let us see the classification of ratios. The types of ratios are different from the classification of ratios. So, based on the various factors, the ratios are classified into different forms, such as on the basis of financial statements, on the basis of importance, and on the basis of function. The ratios are classified into different types. So on the basis of financial statements, the ratios are classified into income statements or profit and loss account statements, balance sheet statements, and inter-statement ratios are composite ratios, or inter-statement ratios are composite ratios. Here, on the basis of financial statements, the ratios are classified into three, such as income or profit and loss account statements, profit and loss account ratios, balance sheet ratios, and third one is composite ratios. Or these composite ratios are also called as inter-statement ratios. These are also called as inter-statement ratios. So there are the three types of ratios that are classifying based on the financial statements. Means some ratios may use the data from the profit and loss account or the income statement. Some ratios may be used the data from the balance sheet, and some ratios may use both the statements, income statement as well as the balance sheet. So the ratios that are using the data from the profit and loss account or the income statement are known as profit and loss account statement ratios. Here the data that is using from the balance sheet, such ratios are called as balance sheet ratios. The ratios which are using from the data from both the statements are known as composite ratios or the inter-statement ratios. At the same time, on the basis of importance, the ratios are classified into primary ratios and secondary ratios. These ratios are classified into primary ratios and secondary ratios. Primary ratios are the ratios very important for the business, which will provide the very important information to the company or the business to take the decision. And these ratios are very crucial. These ratios play very significant role in taking the decisions in business. Such ratios are called as primary ratios, and the secondary ratios are other than the primary ratios. Whatever the ratios we are calculating, all those comes under the secondary ratios. So these secondary ratios are used to explain the primary ratios. For example, solvency ratios are very important in order to know the efficiency of the business. Profitability ratios are very important in order to know the profitability position of the business. So such ratios are very, very important for the business in order to take the decisions. So all these ratios, primary ratios, are very important when taking the commercial decisions in the business. So on the basis of importance or the significance, the ratios are classified into two, primary ratios and the secondary ratios. The most important ratios are called primary ratios, as I said, and the less important ratios are called as secondary ratios. So secondary ratios are usually used to explain the primary ratios. So the examples of the primary ratios are, For commercial undertaking or return on capital employed ratio, net profit ratio, gross profit ratio, solvency ratios like debt equity ratio, total assets to proprietors funds ratio. All these ratios are very important because the basic purpose of these undertaking is to earn the profits. Earn the profit. That is generally the primary objective of any business. So the profit motive is the primary objectives of the business. Hence, these primary ratios belongs or related to the profitability ratios, followed by the solvency ratios. The next classification is on the basis of function. So on the basis of the function or the test, the ratio classified as liquidity ratios, turnover ratios, solvency ratios, and profitability ratios. Profitability ratios. Based on the functions, they are the ratios that we are calculating, such as liquidity ratio, solvency ratio, turnover ratio, and the profitability ratios. So in this in this class we are going to discuss in depth about all these ratios which are classified on the basis of function, such as liquidity ratios, turnover ratios, solvency ratios, and the profitability ratios. So this is about the classification of ratios based on the financial statements, based on the importance, and also based on the function. After completion of the classification of ratios on the basis of various factors, that is based on statements, based on importance or the significance, or based on functions. So we'll see what are the different types of ratios which are classified on the basis of function. So on the basis of function, the ratios are classified into three, that is liquidity ratios, turnover ratios, solvency ratios, and profitability ratios. Again, these ratios subclassified into different types. The first one, the liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio is classified into three, that is current ratio, quick ratio, and absolute liquid ratio. Current ratio, quick ratio, it is also called as liquidity ratio and also called as acid test ratio. So the standard of current ratio is 2:1, the acid test ratio 1:1, and the standard of absolute liquid ratio is 0.5:1. And coming to the turnover ratios, the turnover ratios also classified into these many ratios, such as total capital turnover ratio, working capital turnover ratio, fixed assets ratio, stock or inventory turnover ratio, debtors turnover ratio, and creditors turnover ratio. So these are the ratios which are classified under the turnover ratios. And the third one is solvency ratio. These solvency ratios are also called as capital structure ratios. Capital structure ratios. So here under capital structure ratios or solvency ratios, the ratios are debt equity ratio, total debt ratio, interest coverage ratio, proprietary ratio, capital gearing ratio, proprietors funds to total assets, fixed assets to proprietors funds, and current assets to proprietors funds. They are the different ratios are classified under solvency or capital structure ratio. And the fourth type of ratio, that is profitability ratio. Here the profitability ratios are gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, expenses ratio. Here the expenses ratios are again subclassified into two, that is selling and distribution expenses, office and administrative expenses, nothing but operating expenses ratios. Next, operating ratio, ROI. ROI means here return on investment ratio. Return on investment ratio, which is denoted by ROI. It is denoted as ROI. Here the next one is ROE. ROE means return on equity. Return on equity. Next one is EPS, that is earning per share. So these are the different types of ratios comes under the profitability ratios, and these ratios, profitability ratios, are used to know the financial position of the company respective to the profitability or the profitability position of the business. By using capital structure ratios or the solvency ratios are used to understand the solvency position of the company, means whether the company is in a position to repay the long-term liabilities or not, meet the long-term commitments or not. To know that information, we require to apply these ratios. And turnover ratios are used to determine the turnover position, that is sales position of the company. For that we require to apply these all turnover ratios in order to know the turnover position of the company or efficiency of the company respective to the sales. And the liquidity ratios are used to know the liquidity position of the company, or these ratios are used to understand or know the short-term solvency position of the business in order to know whether the company is in a position to meet the short-term commitments or not, in terms of salaries, in terms of taxes, in terms of dividend, in terms of interest, or in terms of any expenditure that we are paying within the 1 year. So whether the company is in a position to pay for all these expenditures or not. To determine that position, that information, we require to apply these liquidity ratios, that is current ratio, quick ratio, and absolute liquidity ratio. So all these are the ratios, types of ratios, which are classified as per the functions. Classification on the basis of function, we classified these many ratios. Now let us see one by one the liquidity ratio, turnover ratio, solvency ratio, and profitability ratios with the formulas and its significance, where this type of formula, that formula is applicable and why. So we will see the significance and the formulas of these ratios. On the basis of classification of function, we have divided 4 types of ratios, that is liquidity ratio, turnover ratio, solvency or capital structure ratio, and the profitability ratios. So now let us see one by one how these ratios are calculated and what are the formulas for the different ratios and what is the significance of these ratios. The first type of ratio is liquidity ratios. Liquidity ratios. So before going to discussing about the different types of liquidity ratios. Now understand what is liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratios are calculated to measure the short-term financial soundness of the business. Here, the ratio is assess the capacity of the company to repay its short-term liabilities. In other words, in simple words, liquidity ratios are used to measure the short-term solvency position of the company in order to know whether it is in a position to meet the short-term commitments. Means here every company need to pay the year-wise expenditure, like in terms of taxes, in terms of interest, in terms of dividends. Also monthly expenditure, like in terms of salaries, in terms of rent, in terms of many other expenditure. Also within the 1 year the company may also purchase raw material if it is manufacturing company. So all these expenditures to be met by the business. So to understand or to know the position of the financial position of the business, whether it is in the position to meet all these short-term commitments. So to determine that, to identify that, here we require to apply the liquidity ratios. So this ratio is also an effective source to ascertain whether the working capital has been effectively utilized by the business. So liquidity in the ratio means ability to repay the loan. The liquidity ratio are also known as short-term financial solvency ratios because these ratios are used to know the short-term solvency position of the business. So these ratios are classified into three, that is such as current ratio. The ideal standard of this ratio is 2:1. Quick ratio, quick or liquid or acid test ratio. The standard of this ratio is 1:1, and the third one is absolute liquid ratio. The standard of this ratio is 0.5:1. So they are the three types of ratios need to be calculated in order to know the liquidity portion of the company, such as current ratio, acid test ratio, or liquidity ratio, or quick ratio, or absolute liquidity ratio. So each type of ratio under liquidity ratio has unique importance. Now let us see one by one all these ratios. The first type of ratio is current ratio. And what is current ratio? Current ratio is used to know the relationship between the current assets and current liabilities. Means here whether the current assets are sufficient in the business to repay the current liabilities. To know this, we require to apply the formula called current ratio, the ratio called current ratio. Current ratio is used, the purpose of this current ratio is to understand the financial position of the company in terms of whether the current assets of the business is in a position to repay the current liabilities. So the formula for current ratio is current assets, total current assets by total current liabilities. Total current assets by total current liabilities, where total current assets equal cash in hand plus cash at bank plus bills receivable plus prepaid expenses plus short term investments plus stock or inventory plus marketable securities plus debtors plus income not yet received. Transaction has done but income not yet received plus others. So these are the items or comes under the total current assets. If you want to calculate current assets, we need to sum up all these items. So all these items we can find in the final accounts in balance sheet. Therefore, this current ratio is belong to the balance sheet ratios. This is one of the balance sheet ratios. Current ratio is one of the balance sheet ratios. So the second one is total current liabilities. Total current liabilities. What are the items comes under current liabilities? Bills payables plus creditors plus bank overdraft plus short term loans plus expenses not yet paid plus others if any, plus others if any. So these are the items or comes under the total current liabilities. So these current assets we can find in the asset side of balance sheet. These items we can find in the liability side of balance sheet. Therefore, these ratios are known as balance sheet ratios. The ideal standard of this current ratio is 2:1. It means that for every 1 rupee of current liability, there should be 2 rupees of current assets. Then only we can say that the liquidity position of the company according to the current ratio is satisfactory. If not, the financial position of the company is not satisfactory to meet the short-term commitments, that is current liabilities. So this is a formula used to calculate the current ratio. So the next second ratio of liquidity ratio is that peak or liquidity or absolute acid test ratio. Acid test ratio. The standard of this ratio is 1:1. The standard of quick or liquidity or acid test ratio is 1:1. The formula for calculation of this quick ratio is quick assets by quick liabilities or quick assets by total current liabilities. Total current liabilities. So they are the two formulas. Any one of these two formulas may apply to calculate quick ratio. And some companies may apply this formula for calculation of quick ratio, or some companies may apply this formula to calculate this ratio, that is quick ratio, where quick assets equal total current assets minus stock plus prepaid expenses. So means excluding the stock and prepaid expenses, all the current assets are known as total quick assets. All the current assets are the total quick assets, except stock plus prepaid expenses. We need exclude stock and prepaid expenses in order to attain the total quick assets. The second one is quick liabilities. Total quick liabilities. Total quick liabilities equal total current liabilities minus bank overdraft minus cash credit. So this is a formula or equation to attain the total quick assets, that is total current liabilities minus bank overdraft minus cash credit. So we need to exclude these bank overdraft and cash credit from the total current liabilities, or you can also written this as total current liabilities minus of bank overdraft plus cash credit. If you exclude this bank overdraft and cash credit from the total current liabilities, we will get the total quick liabilities. So here, after calculating this total quick assets and total quick liabilities, we need to substitute in the formula quick assets by quick liabilities or quick assets by total current liabilities. And some companies may treat this as current liability, and some companies may not. So if you are treating this as current liability, you need to take the total current liabilities as quick liabilities. If the companies are not treating the bank overdraft as a quick liability, then you can take exclude the bank overdraft from the total current liabilities in order to attain the total quick assets. So this is a formula and ideal standard for calculation of quick ratio or the liquid or acid test ratio. So this is also called as acid test ratio, liquidity ratio or quick ratio. There are three names for this: quick ratio, liquidity ratio, acid test ratio. So this ratio shows the liquidity of the business in real sense. So liquidity is the ability of the firm to meet the current obligations as they fall due. Therefore, you can apply this formula in order to know the liquidity position of the company according to the quick ratio. The third type of liquidity ratio is absolute liquidity ratio. The third type of liquidity ratio is absolute liquidity ratio. The ideal standard of this ratio is 0.5:1. 0.5:1. The formula for calculation of this absolute liquid ratio is cash plus bank plus marketable securities by total current liabilities. This is formula used to calculate absolute liquidity ratio. The standard of this ratio is 0.5:1. Here, the cash, bank and marketable securities are the absolute liquidity assets of the company. Here, these items, these assets are ready to use, ready to convert into another form. Therefore, these assets called as absolute liquid assets in any company. The total current liabilities are the current liabilities that are available in the balance sheet other than the long-term liabilities like bills payables, bank overdraft, expenses not yet paid, creditors, and short-term loans and other current liabilities. The total current liabilities to be taken here as denominator, and the numerator is cash plus bank plus marketable securities. So the absolute liquidity ratio defined as the relationship between absolute liquid assets and the total current liabilities is known as absolute liquid ratio. This is also we can write explain as a definition. So we are taking the relationship between these two, absolute liquid assets and the total current liabilities. Hence the definition for the absolute liquid ratio is the ratio between absolute liquid assets and the total current liabilities, or the absolute liquid assets to the total current liabilities is known as absolute liquidity ratio. So in this case, at the time of interpreting the results, for every 1 rupee of current liability, there should be a 0.5 rupees, means 50 NP of absolute liquid asset, that is cash, bank and marketable securities. At least we must have half of the total current liabilities in terms of cash, bank and marketable securities. So this is what absolute liquidity ratio. So these liquidity ratios are used to measure the short-term solvency position of the business, or to understand the position of the company, whether it is to meet the short-term commitments. So this is the importance of the liquidity ratio in the business, which is used to understand the position of the company in terms of short-term solvency. And the second type of ratios is that turnover ratios. This is the second type of ratio, turnover ratios. Turnover means sales in the business. So turnover ratios are related to the sales, very simple. So all turnover ratios are related to the sales. It is an accepted fact that sales has a direct relationship with the performance of the business. If the sales of the company is increasing, the performance of the company will also increase. If the sales are decreasing, and the corresponding proportionately the performance of the company will also decrease. So there is a direct relationship between the sales as well as the performance of the business. So there is a positive relationship between the performance of the business and the sales of the business, or turnover of the business. So higher the sales means better performance, which really means better efficiency and productivity of the business also. So here there are different types of ratios are there in turnover ratios. Now we will discuss the different turnover ratios which are plays a very significant role respect to the sales in any business. The first type of turnover ratio is the total capital turnover ratio. Total capital turnover ratio. So this is also written as TCTR, that is total capital turnover ratio. So this ratio ensures whether the capital employed has been effectively used or not. Whatever the capital they are employing in the business, whether they are utilizing in the business effectively or not. To ascertain or determine that position, that information you will require to apply this total capital turnover ratio. And this is also the test of managerial efficiency and business performance. If you are employing the capital that is available in the business effectively, automatically the performance of the business also will increase. So indirectly we can say that this ratio is also used to test the managerial efficiency. If the managers are effectively utilizing the capital in the business, the performance of the business will increase. Means that the people or the efficiency of the managers are good. So better efficiency there in the management. So this ratio is also used to estimate the efficiency of the business. The formula for calculation of this total capital turnover ratio is net sales by total capital employed, means used, total capital employed or invested in the business. So how can you define the total capital turnover ratio? It is defined as the relationship between the net sales and the total capital employed is known as the total capital turnover ratio, or the ratio between net sales to total capital employed is also known as total capital turnover ratio. It is used to measure how the management utilizing the total capital in the business in order to increase the efficiency of the business. Here net sales means the total sales minus sales returns. Total sales minus the sales returns during that particular period. The difference between total sales and the sales returns is known as total sales. If you want to attain the net sales, you need to exclude the sales returns from the total sales conducted during the period. Here, this is one of the variables that we need to find from the financial statements. And the total capital employed, either the total capital and the total assets of the business including working capital. So it is either the total capital, both the equity capital, preference capital, reserves and surplus, profits and long-term loans, excluding the current liabilities. Whatever the liabilities available in the liability side of the balance sheet, all the items are comes under the total capital employed. Let us see. Here the capital employed equal equity capital plus preference capital plus reserves plus P&L account plus long-term loans. So these are the items which are comes under the capital employed. So if you want to attain the capital employed, if you want to calculate capital employed, you need to sum up all these items from the balance sheets. Therefore, you will get capital employed. So after calculating these net sales and the capital employed, you need to substitute in the formula in order to calculate the total capital turnover ratio, in order to understand whether the capital is employing effectively in the business or not. This is what the significance of capital turnover ratio. See, here the net sales we are calculating taking the difference between sales and sales returns. Sales are we can find in trading account. Sales are finding in trading account. And here capital employed, all these items are finding in balance sheet. Finding in balance sheet means that here this ratio can be calculated based on the composite ratio. So means this ratio is comes under the composite ratio, because here net sales information is taken from the trading account, capital employed information is taken from the balance sheet. Both are not from the same statement, hence this ratio is belongs to composite ratios. This is also one of the important ratio in order to know the efficiency of the business. And coming to the significance, it shows how many times the capital is turned over into the sales. It reflects the efficiency in the utilization of capital. Higher the capital turnover ratio is always in the interest of the enterprise, means higher the performance of the business or the management, means they are employing all the capital available in the business is satisfactory or good. This is the significance of the total capital turnover ratio. And the second type of turnover ratio is that working capital turnover ratio. The second one is working capital turnover ratio. Working capital turnover ratio, WCTR, working capital turnover ratio. So this ratio measures the relationship between working capital and sales. This ratio reveals the relationship between working capital and sales. So the ratio shows the number of times the working capital results in a sales. The ratio itself explains relationship between working capital and the sales. So working capital turnover ratio can be calculated by using the formula net sales by working capital. So as I said, all these turnover ratios are related to the sales or the turnover. So net sales by working capital is the formula used to calculate the working capital turnover ratio. So based on this formula, we can also define the working capital turnover as the ratio between net sales and net sales to working capital, where net sales means net sales equal total sales conducting in the business or conducted in the business, as it is past data, conducted in the business, minus sales returns. Minus sales returns. We need to take the net sales of the business. And working capital can be calculated by using the help of the current assets and current liabilities. That is, working capital equal total current assets minus total current liabilities. Total current assets minus total current liabilities. So there the two components are used to measure the working capital, total current assets minus total current liabilities. The difference between the total current assets and the total current liabilities is known as working capital, net working capital. So there are two types of working capitals, that is gross working capital, net working capital. In this case, we need to take the net working capital. Gross working capital is the total value of the current assets is known as gross working capital. Net working capital is the difference between total current assets and the total current liabilities. So we need to attain these two values from the given financial statements in order to substitute in the formula to calculate a working capital turnover ratio. How the working capital is effectively working on the sales. How the business is employing the working capital in the business in order to increase the sales. So here the ratio is very important for non-manufacturing concerns where the working capital is more than the fixed assets. So it reflects the efficiency in the utilization of working capital. So this working capital turnover ratio is most useful for the non-manufacturing concerns where the business is not manufacturing the products. So this is the importance of working capital turnover ratio. So we can define this as the ratio between net sales and the net working capital, and these components for calculating net sales we can find from the trading account. Sales and sales returns in the trading account, whereas the working capital components are current assets and current liabilities, means they are the balance sheet items. Therefore we can say that this working capital turnover ratio is belongs to composite ratios, because these two items are taken from the two different statements from the financial statement, that is trading account and the balance sheet. So this is the importance of working capital turnover ratio. The third type of turnover ratio is that fixed assets turnover ratio. Fixed assets turnover ratio. So the fixed assets turnover ratio is used in the business for producing goods to be sold. The effective utilization of fixed assets will result in increased production and reduced cost. So this fixed assets turnover ratio is used to understand whether the company is utilizing the available fixed assets effectively or not. Higher the fixed assets turnover ratio, more the utilization of the fixed assets in the business, means effective utilization of fixed assets in the business. So the formula for calculation of fixed assets turnover ratio is net sales by total fixed assets. The formula for calculation of the fixed assets turnover ratio is that net sales by total fixed assets. The purpose or the significance of this fixed assets turnover ratio is that to understand or to know whether the business is utilizing the fixed assets effectively and efficiently in order to increase the performance of the business. Whether the fixed assets are utilizing, whether the business is utilizing these fixed assets effectively or not. So the formula for calculation of this ratio is net sales by total net fixed assets. Here net sales means, as we know, that net sales equal total sales conducted minus sales returns, and the total net fixed assets, or net fixed assets equal total fixed assets minus depreciation if any. So these two are the equations to measure or calculate net sales and total fixed assets or the net fixed assets. Net fixed assets means the difference between total fixed assets minus depreciation, where net sales equal total sales minus sales returns. See, these items we can find in trading account. Sales and sales returns information we can find in trading account, and total assets and depreciation, total assets we can find in the balance sheet, asset side of balance sheet. Means that here the components or the variable that are required to calculate the fixed assets turnover ratio is belong to composite ratios. This ratio is belong to composite ratio because these two variables we can find in two different statements in final accounts. Therefore, this ratio is composite ratio. So, fixed assets turnover ratio is used to determine whether the company is utilizing the available fixed assets effectively or efficiently. The formula for calculation of fixed assets turnover ratio equal net sales by total fixed assets or the net fixed assets. So these fixed assets should be the net after depreciation. So you can also define the fixed assets turnover ratio as the relationship between the net sales and the total net fixed assets or the fixed assets, or the ratio between net sales to total fixed assets or total net fixed assets. This is about the total fixed assets turnover ratio. The next type of turnover ratio is that stock turnover ratio or inventory turnover ratio. Stock or inventory turnover ratio. Inventory turnover ratio. So it is also written as ITR or STR, stock turnover ratio or inventory turnover ratio. It is calculated by using the formula cost of goods sold by average stock. This is formula used to calculate stock turnover ratio or inventory turnover ratio, where cost of goods sold equal cost of goods sold, it is also written as CGS, cost of goods sold equal opening stock plus purchases plus other direct expenses, cost of goods sold, or cost of goods sold is also calculated by using the formula sales minus gross profit. So either of these two equations can be used to calculate cost of goods sold, that is sales minus gross profit. That is, sales means here net sales you can take into consider, net sales minus gross profit, or cost of goods sold equal opening stock plus purchases plus direct expenses. The summation of these two is known as cost of goods sold, or the difference between net sales and the gross profit is said to be the cost of goods sold. The another variable that we need to take into consider to calculate this stock turnover ratio is average stock. So average stock equal opening stock plus closing stock by 2. So this is a formula used to calculate the average stock. So stock turnover ratio can be defined as the ratio between cost of goods sold to average stock, or the relationship between cost of goods sold and the average stock, where cost of goods sold equal opening stock plus purchases plus other direct expenses, or CGS, cost of goods sold equal net sales minus gross profit, where average stock equal opening stock plus closing stock by 2. See, in this ratio also opening stock purchases or the other direct expenses, or sales gross profit. So all these we can find in the trading account, right? Trading account. So we can find these items in trading account. And whereas coming to the average stock, we are using opening stock, closing stock, opening stock and closing stock. So these two stocks, opening and closing stock, we can find in trading account as well in the balance sheet. Here in also, so sorry, we cannot find the opening stock in the balance sheet. So this is also can find in trading account. Trading account. So these two variables we are finding in the same account. Therefore, this account, this ratio is belongs to income statement ratio or profit and loss account statement ratio. So this is not comes under the balance sheet ratio or the composite ratio, but it is comes under the income statement ratio, that is stock turnover ratio. So after calculating stock turnover ratio, every business should try to find, would like to find the stock holding period, for how much period the stock is holding in the uh, um, business or the warehouses. For that they need to calculate stock or inventory holding period. Inventory holding period. So this can be calculated by using the formula 365 days if they want to calculate in terms of days, 12 months if they want to measure in terms of months, 52 weeks if they want to measure in terms of weeks, by inventory turnover ratio. So this is a formula used to calculate stock holding period or inventory holding period. What is the formula? Stock turnover ratio, stock holding period or inventory holding period is 365 days or 12 months or 52 weeks by inventory turnover ratio. So here, once you have calculated the stock turnover ratio, you need to calculate stock holding period or the inventory holding period in order to know how much time the business is holding the stock in the business, in terms of days or in terms of months or in terms of weeks, by inventory turnover ratio. If the business want to know the period in terms of days, 365 days by inventory turnover ratio. If the firm wants to know in terms of months, 12 months by inventory turnover ratio. If the firm wants to know in terms of weeks, that is 52 weeks by inventory turnover ratio. So this is also very important ratio under turnover ratios, in order to know here how the inventory is moving inflow and outflow, how the business is selling in number of times. So inventory turnover ratio measures in terms of times. Turnover ratio measures in terms of times, and the holding period measures in terms of based on the denominator. If it is in days, that is in terms of days. If it is in months, measures in terms of months. If it is weeks, measures in terms of weeks. But here inventory turnover ratio is always measures in terms of times, number of times. This is stock turnover or inventory turnover ratio. The next turnover ratio that we have under turnover ratios is the debtors turnover ratio. Debtors turnover ratio. Debtors turnover ratio. It is also written as DTR, debtors turnover ratio. So this turnover ratio is used to determine uh, how the debtors, how the number of times the stock is selling on credit basis. So it is also known as the receivable turnover ratio. It establishes the relationship between credit sales and average debtors. Means the debtors turnover ratio establishing the relationship between the credit sales and the average debtors. Hence, the formula for calculation of this ratio is credit sales by average debtors. Credit sales by average debtors. Net credit sales are credit sales by average debtors. Otherwise, you can also write this as a net credit sales. Net credit sales. The formula for calculation of debtors turnover ratio is net credit sales by average debtors, where net credit sales equal total sales conducted during that period minus returns from the customer, that is sales returns, minus sales that has been conducted on cash basis, that is cash sales. Because we need to take into consider only the net credit sales. It means that we need to exclude the cash sales. So to calculate the net credit sales, we require to use this equation: total sales minus sales returns minus cash sales equal to the net credit sales. Here the second variable is average debtors. Average debtors. So average debtors equal opening debtors plus closing debtors by 2. Average of two debtors is known as average debtors. That is opening debtors plus closing debtors by 2 is the average debtors. After calculating these two variables, we need to substitute in the formula in order to calculate the debtors turnover ratio. So this ratio is also measures in terms of times. It measures in terms of times. The significance of this debtors turnover ratio is this ratio indicates the efficiency with which debts are collected during the year. It will be in the interest of the business. If the ratio is higher, which will indicate that debts are collected quickly. Higher the ratio, better the performance in terms of collecting the debts from the debtors. So once we have calculated debtors turnover ratio, we also need to calculate debtors collection period. How much time the business is taking to collect the debts from the debtors. So for that, debtors collection period need to calculate. So debtors collection period equal, if they want to, business want to measure in terms of days, 365 days, or they want to measure in terms of months, 12 months, or if they want to measure in terms of weeks, 12 weeks, by debtors turnover ratio. Debtors turnover ratio. This is a formula used to calculate debtors collection period. So once you have calculated debtors turnover ratio, immediately you can also calculate debtors collection period. So this is reveals the number of times, and this is measures in terms of period, collection period, in terms of days or months or weeks. So this is the importance of debtors turnover ratio, which is also very important in order to know how much time the business is taking to collect the debts from the debtors. So the next important ratio to calculate under turnover ratio is that creditors turnover ratio. That is creditors turnover ratio. It is also denoted by CTR, creditors turnover ratio. So creditor turnover ratio explains the velocity with creditors are paid and establishes the relationship between the creditors and the amount paid to them. It is used to establish the relationship between the creditors and the amount paying to the creditors. So here to calculate the creditors turnover ratio, we can use the formula, that is net credit purchases by average creditors. This is a formula used to calculate creditors turnover ratio, that is net credit purchases by average creditors. So creditors turnover ratio defined as the relationship between net credit purchases and the average creditors, or the ratio between net credit purchases to average creditors, where net credit purchases equal total purchases minus purchases returns. If any returns are there in terms of purchases, we need to subtract from this, minus cash purchases during that period. So this is an equation which is used to calculate net credit purchases, that is total purchases minus purchases returns minus cash purchases. So to attain the net credit purchases, where the second variable to calculate is average creditors. Average creditors is also one of the variable which we need to calculate in order to calculate the creditors turnover ratio. So here average creditors equal opening creditors plus closing creditors by 2. This is a formula used to calculate the average creditors. Opening creditors plus closing creditors by 2 is used to calculate the average creditors. So here, once you have calculated these two variables, net credit purchases and average credit purchases in terms of numericals, we need to substitute in the formula in order to calculate creditors turnover ratio. And this creditors turnover ratio is used to ascertain the velocity. So how much time business is taking to clear the dues or to pay the amount to the creditors. Once you have calculated the creditors turnover ratio, you need to calculate again the time period that the business is taking to pay the amount to the creditors. That is here creditors payment period. That equal, if they want to know in terms of days, 365 days, or if they want to know in terms of months, 12 months, or if they want to know in terms of weeks, 12 weeks, by creditors turnover ratio. Creditors turnover ratio is, this is a formula used to calculate the creditors payment period. So this creditors payment period measures in terms of days or months or weeks based on the denominator. So based on the interest of the business, we can use 365 days by creditors turnover ratio, or 12 months by creditors turnover ratio, or 52 weeks by creditors turnover ratio. So this creditors turnover ratio is also measures in terms of times, number of times business is paying to the suppliers or the creditors who are supplied the raw material or anything to the business. This is a process of calculating the creditors turnover ratio as well the creditors payment period. So this is also very important to know the creditors turnover ratio and the creditors payment period, and the debtors turnover ratio and debtors collection period, stock turnover ratio and the stock holding period. These three are the very important ratios which can play a significant role in the business.